Happy New Year. For our tutorial today, we're going to talk again about borders, and we're going to talk about the fabrics that you use on your borders and how to cut them. Now this fabric, we're going to talk about the grains here today. From selvage to selvage, it has a little give, and this is called the crosswise grain. And along the selvage, it's the lengthwise grain, and there is hardly any give there, if you can see. And I know that a lot of people like to cut their borders so they don't have any seams in them, and so they cut them the long way or the lengthwise grain, but they're really harder to put on, and they don't look as good when they're on your quilt because it has this length, this little give in the crosswise grain, and that makes a better looking border. You do have seams, but I prefer to do that. I'm going to show you how to cut these now. And if you'll look at our tutorial about folding your fabric and cutting your strips, you just line up your selvage edges, and then you lay the selvage edges on the fold and line up your ruler on the fold, and then square it up and then cut your segments however big you need them. Then you sew them together just with a straight seam. And I know you think that's going to really show, but a lot of borders actually are made out of very busy fabrics, and so the seam really doesn't show. And even if your fabric isn't very busy, when you get your quilt all quilted, it really doesn't show up that much. The seams don't. I know some people use actually a 45-degree seam on their borders. You can do that too. I just use a straight seam, and sometimes I even press it open. You don't have to. You can just press it to one side either way. Because sometimes if I leave my selvages on when I sew my seams together, I just press it open. There you go. The next week we're going to talk about how much fabric you need to buy and how to figure how much fabric for your borders. But I prefer to use the crosswise grain instead of the lengthwise grain and put a seam in it, and it makes a nicer border. It fits on your quilt a little bit better.